Welcome back, beautiful souls. So, today we are discussing the three types of, I guess, energy work practitioners. Realistically, I was actually going to just work on Reiki, like not work on Reiki practitioners, but explain Reiki practitioners. In thinking about it and realizing it, you can really talk about energy workers as a whole for this spectrum and the three types that there are. Now, please understand that this is an absolute sliding scale. Some people may agree with this, some people may not. It's just kind of my own thoughts and observations, and do with the information what you will. This is just kind of an explanation. There's no research on this. This is just me. And how, so this is very much a sliding scale that you will come across. And there are energy workers from all walks of life, races, religions, creed, whatever. Nothing wrong with that. There's people from all different backgrounds in energy work, life experiences, stories. Basically, a lot of people that do energy work, the goal is always the same. We want to help people. We want to help you get better. And that is, I think, regardless of where you fall on the spectrum, that is the one thing that will remain true regardless, is that we want to see you be the most whole version of yourself. And if we can help you get there, wonderful. That's what we're here for. So, one end of the spectrum is people that are very scientific, very logical. This group of people, either because of where they are working out of or just personal belief system, this group of energy workers be will have removed any mention of God, spirit, soul, universe. More often than not, a lot of the more spiritual aspects of the practice will have been kind of plucked out of their practice. They may focus predominantly on the physical body. How can this help you physically? What physical ailments, pain, maybe nerve regeneration for something like sound healing? What can it do for the physical body? And it depending on where they work. So, like, if someone volunteers in a hospital, I'm going to make an assumption, a kind of guarded assumption, that they may or may not really be able to mention, God by any name, any affiliation, may not be able to really discuss the soul aspects of it, even if that's what they believe or that's how they feel. They may be slightly restricted language wise in what they can say, or it's just they just feel like they don't really discuss it. It's a physical healing process, whatever it is, and that's what it is. They may not even mention the kind of mental and emotional elements. Some might, they might realize that it can help kind of emotional trauma. It's maybe some of them are relaxation methods that help kind of calm anxiety. So that may or may not be discussed. There's nothing wrong with that, because just as there are so many different practitioners, there are so many different practitioners because there are clients that are looking for that. So you might be someone that is kind of purely logical, focused on the physical, the scientific. That might be someone that's a perfect match for you. Also, it will depend on where you are in your healing journey. You may start out with someone on this end of the spectrum and end up with someone else on the other end of the spectrum. As your journey goes on, as you heal, you might need a different method, different style, different technique, different personality. You will be guided to who you need, regardless of what that looks like. Because at the other end of the spectrum, you will find the more spiritually based healers, energy workers, light workers. To the best of my knowledge, and I am 75 to 90% certain, none of the energy modalities that I know of are affiliated with a specific religion. The only one might be shamanism, as far as a lot of native peoples are concerned, because that is probably very much akin to their religion. Other branches of shamanism, maybe not so much. So, outside of that, because that was the one that just came to mind, I don't really think like Reiki is not affiliated with any religion. The emotion code is not affiliated with any religion. Oh, what's the I've done healings. I've done a healing with the method developed by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I cannot think of it right now. Um, that's not really affiliated with any religion. I know someone that does spinal energetics. Oh, I have another friend that does. I cannot think of what it's called, but I know she works with like your higher self to clear stuff, and I can't think of it. And I did 3 sessions with her. But anyway, you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, none, for the most part, a lot of these are not affiliated with a specific religion. You will, however, notice that these practitioners do follow a more spiritual path. So you might hear God mentioned by any name, depending on what their base religion is. You might find a lot of spiritualists in this group of people. You will hear angels talked about, goddesses, ancestors, spirits. A lot of mediums kind of may fall into this. Um, so this is the end of the spectrum where you will hear talk of the body, mind, and soul connection. You will hear soul work talked about. You will hear about the how you need to heal the emotional, the soul, and the body, or the mental and the emotional and the soul, so that the body can heal. However people choose to approach it, however people manage it, explain it, everyone's explanations, everyone's definitions are going to be different because it's going to be how they interpret their work. It's going to depend on the type of energy work or light work that they are doing. Are they cross trained in multiple modalities? Do they just practice one specific modality? So, a lot of that is going to play into how they are presented, but you do have kind of the more spiritual aspect at the other end of the spectrum. And then there's the ones smack in the middle. And the people that are in the middle are generally the ones that adapt to the client in front of them because they want you to come back. They need you to come back in order for their business to survive. And these are the ones where they will basically kind of feel you out. So if they get the sense that you are a, a non religious person, or you're more logically minded, or you're coming to them because you're like, you know what, I've tried everything else, I've got nothing left to lose, see what you can do. So they may not come right out of the gate with angels and spirit in the universe and law of attraction and God, and they may not do that right out of the gate. They may temper a lot of their explanations if you have someone on the more spiritual end of the spectrum. If you have someone that is more kind of physically oriented, they will probably, they may not go too far that way. It's kind of like when you have someone that's trying to pretend to be normal, or they're like, I can blend in for a certain amount of time. The weird always kind of creeps out, either just by things they say, things they do, some of their interests. It's a little bit like that. You will be able to tell who this person is that kind of falls into the sliding scale of the middle group, but they're not going to maybe out of the gate come at you with it, or they will temper themselves according to your temperament. And there's nothing wrong with that either. With any of the way the three groups kind of exist, practice, run their business, because it's what you are looking for. Who do you resonate with? Why do you like this person? What's drawing you to this person? Maybe they're not someone you would think you would go to, but there is something about them that you genuinely are drawn to. You genuinely like the way this person presents themselves, their practice, their modalities, and maybe it's what you need in that moment versus what you would normally go for. Maybe you need someone that's a little bit more logical and a little bit more focused in the body. Maybe you do need someone that's a little bit more spiritual and is focusing more on how are you being affected as a whole versus what's going on, internally. So that is also something to bear in mind. And that's essentially kind of where the three groups exist. And it is very much a sliding scale. very much a sliding scale of how people, present themselves and who you build relationships with. A lot of these people you might be going back to time and time again until they no longer fill a service, or you feel like, you know what, we had a good run. Now I'm going to go try this person over here. I'm going to go try this person over there. Nothing wrong with that. That's the nature of life. But the reason why there is such a diversity in that is because as clients, you are diverse. So when you're looking for a practitioner, just, I hate, some people are going to be so bothered by the statement, but just go with the vibe. Like, I kind of hate to say that, but where are you drawn? Like, or is it far more practical than that? And it's like, this person is 10 minutes away from where I live, or this person offers online healings, online offerings, because my schedule is completely screwy and I'm going to go with them. It could just be simply that cold and practical. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's what works for you. It's what works best for you. It's the person's availability, however that works for you. So do what is best for you. It's that simple. And yeah, so those are roughly the three kind of types of, I will legitimately say, energy workers or light workers that you will run into. It's the more science based, definitely more physically minded. You've got middle of the road, the people that are going to adapt and bend, and the more spiritually minded. I kind of think that a lot of energy workers probably tend toward the more spiritual end of the spectrum, but I do know the other end of the spectrum exists, just simply because they need to, because not all clients are going to maybe respond to a more spiritual practitioner. Or maybe when you start out your journey, you really just need someone that is cold and logical. God, I don't want to say cold and logical. That is more kind of scientific, more logical, more, kind of frame things in an everyday manner. Because when you get down into the woo woo and, trying to explain things that are metaphysical versus the physical, it can be very difficult to blend those together. I even myself sometimes, like, people will ask me a question and it's things that I know innately. How do I explain this to someone that has never experienced it? How do I explain this to someone that has no concept of what I live with or what I have experienced on a daily basis? So how do I take the woo and turn it into something that is more comprehensible? And that's a little difficult when you're talking about the metaphysical. Um, so if you ever ask someone a definition or to explain something and you're watching them struggle, also one of the things I will say, that until I started doing YouTube and really started digging in into how to explain things, I just regurgitated back what I was taught. Whether I completely grasped it or completely understood it, or was like, yeah, it's this kind of thing, and just kind of muddled my way through. Now I have the words to explain it. So if someone's relatively new as a energy worker, or maybe someone just hasn't really had the chance to really dig in to understand that they know what they're doing, they can do it well, but when it comes to explaining it, they just don't have the vocabulary, that may also cause them to falter. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they have to find their own words and their own explanations. So that could be another thing too. It's either they don't have the vocabulary to properly explain things, or you're asking about something that's like, all right, how do I explain this without sounding like an absolute lunatic? Let me think this through so that I don't sound like I belong in the place with the padded walls. It's it is what it is. So take that however you will. But yeah, so those are the different practitioners that you will more than likely come run into in energy work in general. So yeah, I will see you all again very soon. Thank you for stopping by, and Take care, my friends.